constraining people to write. And there are many subject matter. There are many things to write about. So the pen is never silent. Welcome to Oral Tradition and another adventure in Guyanese literature. We'll talk about the writing process and the writing process and publishing and marketing and why we write. Sean, welcome to Oral Tradition.
Thank you, Petamber. I'm really honored to be here. You've become an icon in Guyana and the torchbearer for literature and literary things in Guyana. It's really amazing to be here and an honor to be on your show.
Oh, thank you so very much.
Not many done so much over the years.
Yeah, not many people notice it though.
I'm sure a lot of people notice it. They might not say it. Like I live in Canada and I follow your work very, very closely.
Oh, thank you so very much.
And it's amazing what you do, and I thank you. You know, all Guyanese thank you. It's amazing.
Before we talk about the writing process, let's sort of locate Sean Michael Summer. Who is Sean?
Well, I can't say who I am, I guess. People got to say who I am, but I'm a journalist by profession, as you know. I've done a lot of journalism work in Guyana with Stabrook News, founder of Kaichur News, of course. But then I migrated to Canada 30 years ago. This is my first Christmas in 30 years back in Guyana. So I live in Canada, and there's a question actually about my work in terms of books, because I do a lot with newspapers and journalism, I always talk about books and being a writer and publishing and all that. So in Canada over the years, I was able to build a publishing company. We have a publishing company.
Name?
Called Qualped Corporation. So we're a certified Canadian publishing company with thousands of ISBNs assigned to our company. So we publish ebooks, audiobooks, and novels, and printed books as well, hardcover, softcover. So we're a publishing company, and I've been busy building that company over the years. But I have a philosophy of writing, and I should really, if I may go into that, I should really flesh that out, if I may. So I don't believe today we have, because of AI, we're transitioning from a society where we had writers to authors, and I think there's a big distinction we need to make between the two.
Go ahead.
If I may refer back to, the metaphor, if you will, of scribes in the Bible. After a while, scribes became useless. You didn't need scribes anymore because literacy caused writers to develop, and writers started creating new work, whereas the scribes before were just copying from, you know, the great writers like Aristotle and the apostles and stuff. Today we're in that transition phase from moving from writers, mere writers, what I call mere writers, into really a new world of authorship. So people who construct stories, and we're all, as human beings, we're all stories. That's what gives us meaning. But the people who put shape and organization to our stories, because our stories are chaotic. It's all over the place. People say this happened to me, that happened to me. But if we as authors sit and interview people or talk to people and start organizing their stories, what we're doing is authoring their life. And the word authorship, which also comes from authority, to me, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
There are three influences, Petamber, that really influenced me, affected the way I author and the way I live this publishing life and telling stories. And I don't believe it's a profession. I don't believe we should do it for money. I believe it's a calling, and we're thought leaders. We shape society. We design how human beings live and think and their worldview. So it's a very, very important work to be an author, because you're influencing the very foundation of society, like Shakespeare and James Joyce and all the great writers, even with Wilson Harris. Palace of the Peacock is a beautiful book. All his work is amazing. So the three people who influenced me were Harold Bloom, wrote a book about originality, what he called genius, and he analyzed the work. He's the world's greatest reader, right? Well, he's passed away, so he was the world's greatest reader. He analyzed 100 people who influenced human thinking, human life, and most of them were writers, but also Da Vinci and different people, Shakespeare and all that. And I read this book, and he featured these 100 people who he said influence everything else that human beings do. And that idea really generated something in me. It really resonated with me that I should be an originalist, because that's what he called these people. They're originalists. And I believe authors should aim for that. We might take on somebody's style for a while, but our aim should be, what original work are we producing? Right? That is very, very important. And the second thing that affected me in my life as a writer, as an author, is Shakespeare. Actually, when Shakespeare started writing his plays, he was basically following in the footsteps of Christopher Marlowe.
Yes.
Christopher Marlowe died early, and Shakespeare took on this thing, but he did a deal with a businessman, and it didn't work out, right? The same with me and Cashew News, right? But what Shakespeare did that I think was groundbreaking, and why we still talk about him today, 500 years later, is because he built his own stage. So he wrote, directed, and even acted in some of them, but he built his own stage for his own plays. And so originality, having your own publishing platform or your own stage, right? And the third thing that really affected me is ebooks. So the future of books became a big thing for me. Really big thing. I did a lot of research with professors at University of Toronto and Ryerson, and that is an area I took a lot of interest in for many, many years. What is the future of books? You know, is it going to be printed? Is it going to be flat, one-dimensional, black font on white page forever and ever? And realize that the future of books is different than it is today. And one guy that I looked at was Michael Hart. In the United States, in 1971, he invented ebooks. Michael Hart invented ebooks. So this was, what, 50-something years ago. And nothing has been done with books, really, in any significant way since then. So ebooks remain flat, one-dimensional, black text on white background. Basically the same thing, except from print, from paper to electronic, right? So, you know, when you put those three together, we need to be original, we need to build our own platform, and we need to look at the future of book and upgrade books, because books are the smartest devices. I don't know if I'm talking too much.
No.
Books.
Interesting. You say you're laying down your philosophy.
Yes. So books are the most smart and intelligent device that man has ever invented, right? When Gutenberg invented the printing press, 500-600 years ago, it was the most amazing thing that we could print our stories. And we were doing it back in the Sumerian days when they were writing on tablets and baking it in the sun. So books became the best thing that we produce. However, books are the most boring thing. You can't tell a teenager or today's generation, even older people, read a book. Oh, that's boring, I can't do that. But look at when we get into Tolstoy and Dostoevsky and, you know, even Wilson Harris, a lot of Guyanese writers, Ian MacDonald. It's fascinating stuff when you really get into it, right? When you get into the meat of literature and stories, it does so much for us. If I may segue a little bit, AI, they're training AI on literature and all the information in the world, which is all based on text, right? Everything they translate, even videos, they translate it to tokens, which is a kind of text kind of thing, and train AI. I won't get into the details of it, but that's what we do with our brain. We train our brain with language, with text.
We acquire taste, right?
Yeah, and AI, it's intelligent. They're giving it, training the brain, if you will, of AI, artificial intelligence, to be intelligent. But we're not doing that with humans, right? We need to train humans on literature, which is your work, which is amazing. And I hope your work spreads and become a national culture of literature and stuff. In fact, I wish Guyana were, we had people in Guyana who would, I think I made an attempt but didn't push it too far. Guyana could be designated as a city of literature at the UN. That's something we need to work on. You and I maybe could talk about that.
Yeah, they normally do that every so often. The book capital, they call it city.
City of literature,
where they select a city.
Right. You got to apply. There's a process, which I looked into. I know the process.
Yeah.
So we can do that. Maybe we'll talk about it after. But so I looked at this, Petamber, of being an originalist. How could I be an author of books and be original, really create new things, to cause new things to happen in society and in human life? How do I build my own publishing platform? instead of depending on the traditional publishers who want to stay status quo. They don't care about the future of the book. They make money how they are now, they want it to stay like that. But I'm all about innovation and new things, and how do we get more people to read? How do we get books to be exciting, like Facebook and social media, like videos, like TikTok? How do we make books like that? That was my question. So we developed a future. So I created a company, somehow I'm not a fan of it, but somehow I became entrepreneurial back in the day with Kaicho News, setting up National Media and Publishing Company here, and also we had a TV company before that with Dana Ryan Chan. So this entrepreneur thing was in me. Maybe my dad had a business, so maybe that's why. Okay. So in Canada, I registered a company, and we are now a full-fledged Canadian publishing company. And the idea with that company, which is Qualpet Corporation, you can Google it, is that we should only produce original work. It must be original. The author has to come up with new thinking, new thoughts. Not just tell a story, but the theme, the message has to really resonate with how do we bring human beings to a next level.
The arrangement, I mean, there's no new story on the Sun. And editors and publishers are looking for that new way that you can portray a story.
Yeah.
So I understand where you're getting at.
Yeah, as Guyanese writers, apart from Wilson Harris, maybe MacDonald to some extent, Ian MacDonald, maybe with his poetry. He should have done more than one book, by the way.
Ian has got about 7, you've been writing...
Poetry, mostly poetry, but his novel is, which was in high schools and all that. I think he should have done more with that. But the thing is, as Guyanese writers, I think we need to originate more, and I love that word, origination, originate, a new way of us being Guyanese. Like the writer, the author should be reinventing us, generation by generation.
I had a problem with that when I sit down to judge drama or any literary stuff, and there is always that column, originality. And for a long while, I was puzzled over originality, because I know you can't bring anything new to me. But after a few attempts sitting on judging panel, I began to get an idea what it meant. We'll go on with this story.
Well, I think the guy who defines it, who actually introduced the idea to me, is Harold Bloom with his book, which is called Genius.
He is fascinating. I haven't got that one. I have other books on poetry.
I can get you a copy when I come again to Guyana. But that book, I think, would really be valuable for you to, when you judge these competitions, or whatever they're called. It gives you a perspective of looking deeper into the work and say, oh, this is really an original message, an original theme. That when you go below the beauty of the story, the style and everything, there's something new being said here, right? Like V.S. Naipaul did a lot of that. He's listed in that list. He's in that list. Yeah, he's in that list. What with Shakespeare and all the people who originated new ways of thinking.
Talk about originality. Self-published books. There's a huge, core of people, writers, who are still publishing because they cannot have access to mainstream publishing. Talk a bit about self-publishing.
So when I talk about building your own publishing platform, that's what I mean. We live in a different world, a digital world, and the world is at our fingertips now. We can reach the world. But if you go to a traditional mainstream publisher, their systems were not built for that. It was built for, we give you a commission or a retainer, and when you sell your books, you get royalties and stuff. And the imprint on the book is what's supposed to be the big thing. But today, you can be an author, and you can build your own platform online. You can reach readers anywhere in the world. And so that's what I mean by creating original work, but also build your own platform. Follow what Shakespeare did. And some of the great literary figures, well, maybe only Shakespeare actually did it, built his own platform.